Good morning, beloveds. Distracted by a cat. Um, the weather's weird today. We got out for a run and it's sticky. It's not hot, but it's sticky. And as we're going, we realize it's very, very lightly misting. And I'm like, so we were just like, okay, we're just gonna go because the good thing on Tuesdays and Thursdays is that the way we run, there's several places where we're pretty close to the house, so if it starts to rain, we can get back to the house pretty quick. And we got through the run, but we definitely came in damp and hot. And then because there's a storm front moving through, it's going to cool it back off. So it's like, it's going to be 80 today, but we're going to drop back into the 40s. And you're just like, people who don't live in places where the weather wildly shifts have no idea. But it's, I don't know. Okay, but we are closing in on finishing up 365 Science of Mind. A year of daily wisdom from Ernest Holmes. And we are going to switch to 365 Days of Richer Living by Ernest Holmes and Raymond Charles Parker. So I'm not stopping. I will continue to do this around 9 a.m. for at least another year. And we will go from there. I think that I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot, and I hope that you guys have gotten something out of it, because I know I've gotten a lot out of it. And y'all have gotten to know my cats fairly well. And so let's see what March 30th is. All right. March 30. Living without fear. Fear robs memory of happiness because it dwells upon the limitation and the morbidities of the past. It robs the future of pleasurable and enthusiastic anticipation because it casts a shadow of its past into the future. It robs today of the possibility of fulfillment because it denies the good we might experience in the moments in which we live. How much better would it be if we could think as a child thinks, abandoning ourselves to the integrity of the miracle-working universe in which we live? If the warmth of the sun can melt an iceberg, why should it not follow that there must be something in us or operating through us that can dissolve any difficulty, remove any obstruction, renew any human relationship that has been impaired? We should consciously practice having faith just as we would practice becoming a musician. We should do mental exercises to build up our acceptance of good. The process is simple enough since it finally resolves itself into very simple affirmations of conviction. But there must be persistency until finally old thought patterns melt and give way to new. Today, I cultivate the art of having faith. I affirm the reality of the divine presence in my life and deny everything that refutes it. As a child turns to its parents, so do I turn to the infinite presence whose creative law can do all things. And I accept the influx of all that makes for richer living, because nothing is impossible to God. I believe that nothing is impossible to me through God's power in me. I am daring to believe that the greater good. I'm daring to believe in the greater good. I am forsaking all that has held me in bondage and uniting myself with faith, with expectation, and with joy. I now live without fear. And the Bible quote is, "Be not overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." And that is Romans 12:21. And immediately I have three quotes. Let's see if I can remember all three of them. Oh yeah, no. So in the first paragraph, immediately what popped into my head was Einstein, that worry is a misuse of imagination. Worry is a misuse of imagination. We have much better uses for imagination than worrying, because worrying is worrying about what could go wrong in the future. It's like, why not imagine what could go right? In the second paragraph, he's talking about practice. And one of the things that I've heard Reverend Jesse say is practice, because we've all heard practice makes perfect. But what Reverend Jesse said is practice makes permanent, which is why we practice. We practice the affirmations until those old thought patterns melt away. We literally rewire our brain when we practice different ways of thinking. And then the last one, I do not remember the name of the movie, but it is a Will Smith movie, and it is definitely not one of the good ones. It's not a good movie. But in the movie, he says the danger is real. Fear is a choice. So, and that's what it's like. And then I think it's a quote from Lao Tzu about anxiety and depression. Anxiety is living in the future, and depression is living in the past. In having been diagnosed with both, that struck me. So frequently when we are in fear, the danger isn't real. There are times when the danger is real, and when we let ourselves get caught up in the fear, we make not the best choices. So it's like when we are facing danger, if we have practiced, then we can face the danger without the fear and make appropriate choices that will get us to the other side. And then frequently we're in fear because we're misusing our imagination. We are imagining things that haven't happened yet, that may not happen. That being said, I'm not saying not to take precautions, but I am saying take the precautions and imagine what could go right. And I believe that's what Ernest is kind of going for here. And that's what we're talking about, living without fear. It's not that we're not going to encounter situations that are less than optimal, but we can choose how we respond to them. And the way we do that is by practicing. So, fear robs the memory of happiness because it dwells upon the limitations and morbidities of the past. So does depression. Now, I say this, depression is also a chemical imbalance, and if you do need medication to reset that imbalance, please take it, because I did, and it helped. And I honestly, I'm not sure that if I hadn't taken the medication, I wouldn't be here. So, I don't want to just put depression in that, oh, fear. No, it's a real thing. It is the brain not working correctly. But that's where it's focused, is it's focused on the past. And so one of the therapies for working on depression is to focus on the present moment now. Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. So fear robs the memory of happiness because it dwells on the limitations and morbidities of the past. It robs the future of pleasurable and enthusiastic anticipation because it casts a shadow of its past into the future. What could go wrong? I mean, how many times have we gotten up and gotten into a situation and go, well, what could go wrong now? And it just sucks the joy out of whatever it is we're doing. So optimally, what we practice is we prepare. I'm not even going to say we prepare for, things to go wrong. We just prepare. We make the appropriate preparations, and then we go, what could go right? What could go right? How can this miracle of life that we are living provide more joy? It robs today of the possibility of fulfillment because it denies the good we might experience in the moment in which we live. That is the power of now. And that is what Eckhart Tolle has made millions on. The power of now, the power of living in the moment, the power of living. So it's like we want to let the past go, and the future will take care of itself, and we just need to do what we need to do now. How much better it would be if we could think as a child thinks, abandoning ourselves to the integrity of the miracle-working universe in which we live. Did Jesus not say to be as a little child? To not worry so much. Yes, we are adults. Yes, we have to make plans. Yes, we plan for the future. But we also have the power to be scared of the future, and we have the power to anticipate amazing things in the future. And which one do you get more joy out of? And when we anticipate great things, we don't always get them. But when we're looking for the good, we find the good. And when we're looking for the not so preferred, we find that too. It's your choice. It really is. I mean, that right there is the definition of free will. It's like, what's going to happen around you is going to happen around you. What do you choose to focus on? Do you choose to focus on the good, or do you choose to focus on the bad? Or nothing is good or bad, it's thinking that makes it so. I think that was Shakespeare. So, do you choose to focus on what went right? Or do you choose to focus on the not preferred experience? If the warmth of the sun can melt an iceberg, why should it not follow that there must be something in us or operating through us that can dissolve any difficulty, remove any obstruction, or renew any human relationship that has been impaired? That's the Christ consciousness. That is faith. And I have said in the past that faith is trust plus imagination. Trust plus imagination. It's like, I have faith in that this will happen, and I'm going to imagine the best outcome and trust that it will be so. And then I'm going to take the guidance that appears to me to get me there. I'm not just going to sit back on my laurels and wait. I'm going to go get it. But I'm going to follow the guideposts that I have set in motion by trusting and envisioning. And we should consciously practice having faith just as we would practice becoming a musician. Faith is muscle. It's a metaphorical muscle. And it will get bigger if we work it. If we work it, it will get bigger. We should work it every day. And that's what spiritual practice is for. It is about working that muscle. We should do mental exercises to build up our acceptance of good. Look for the good and praise it. Thank you, Emma. Apparently I'm just going to be a quote machine today, but that's okay. If they have said it better, I'm going to use their words and try and give them credit. The process is simple enough, since it resolves itself into very simple affirmations of conviction. But there must be a persistency until finally old thought patterns melt and give way to new ones. We have a tendency to get into ruts. Are they good ruts, or are they not so good ruts? And even if they're good ruts, if it's a rut, can you get out of it? How deep's that rut? If things are going great. But if they're not, you want to skip over a channel. Get into a new groove. Yeah, I grew up with vinyl. It's like, okay, I'm done with this song. Let me switch to the next one. And that really is practice. That really is, and it's not about beating ourselves up. It is about when we catch ourselves thinking in an old pattern. And that's where visual cues can be very helpful. I haven't put it on yet this morning, but I normally wear a set of prayer beads. And the prayer beads are a visual cue to me when I start to when my thinking goes off track. It's like if I get out of my groove, then I look down. Generally what'll happen is I get out of my groove and I'll bump those beads. And that brings my awareness and my attention back. And then it allows me to ground, recenter, and get back into that thought. And your visual cue can be absolutely anything. But you want it to be something that you will see frequently. If you are actively working to change a thought pattern. Like right now, it is springtime. Every time you see a flower, that's a cue to ground, recenter, and what are you thinking about? Like I said, I use the prayer beads. Just because I wear them on my wrist, I bump them a lot. And then, so you move on, and so that's one way that you can work on moving that groove. Okay, today I cultivate the art of having faith. I affirm the reality of the divine presence in my life and deny everything that refutes it. So that's where the power of the denials is. It's like I am affirming the reality of the divine and denying anything that says it's not. As a child turns to its parents, so do I turn to the infinite presence whose creative law can do all things, and I accept the influx of all that makes for richer living. Blah. Okay. As a child turns to its parents, so too do I turn to the infinite presence whose creative law can do all things, and I accept the influx of all that makes for richer living. And I forget who said it, but it's like if people think something's impossible, they need to get out of the way of the people who are doing it, who are actively doing it. All things are possible in God. All things are possible in God. That's one of the reasons why we don't focus on the how. We focus on the what, but we don't focus on the how, because Spirit will find a way to bring it to us what we are asking for, but it will find a creative way that we would have never thought of. And so that's why we let go of the how. And that's how we use the denials when we start to think, well, I've asked for this, but I'm not worthy. Oh, nope, you're a child of God, you're worthy. I have asked for this, but it's not possible because, nope, Spirit is infinite possibility. That's how you do denials. Because nothing is impossible to God. I believe that nothing is impossible to me through God's power in me. God can do anything for me that God can do through me, which means I have to be open and accept it. I am daring to believe in the greater good. I am forsaking all that has held me in bondage. I am uniting myself with faith, with expectation, and with joy. I now live without fear. So, yeah. It is not a small mission today. Be not overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. You've heard the Martin Luther quote, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So that's the Romans quote. So the mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to live without fear. But to do that, we have to understand what that means. It means to live now. It means to live in the present. It means to let go of worrying. It means to let go of worrying about the past and worrying about the future. It does not mean not preparing. but it does mean preparing in faith and focusing on the good. All right. That's our mission today. And here's the amazing thing about that. All of the power we need to accomplish that mission is coming from an inexhaustible source, an absolute inexhaustible source. And it's coming from a source that never says no. So, that is it. We have one more day in March. And then we move on to a new book. All right, beloveds. If you have really enjoyed the 365 Science of Mind, I do want you to know that they are available. We're not deleting them off the Facebook page. They are still, but if you want an easier way to find a particular day or month, they are archived on a YouTube channel called The Running Rev Ryan. I don't want to clutter up the center, the Science of Mind, the Creative Life Spiritual Center. I don't want to clutter up that page with the daily readings. So that's reserved for anything that is service related and that kind of thing. And then these daily readings are archived on a different YouTube channel. So the Running Rev Ryan. And then Thursday we'll move into a new book. It'll be good. I'm excited. And it was suggested by another practitioner. So do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like to you. Self-care is important for a reason. So please love yourself, take care of yourself, be kind, be compassionate. If your compassion does not include yourself, it is not complete. Dalai Lama. So do what you need to do to have a fantastic day. Believe that you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, because it is the truth. It is always the truth. That is the state of grace we live in. So, engage your mind and your body today. Go for a walk, drink some water, whatever it is that you need to spark that creativity, and open the windows of your soul. Allow that breath of heaven to remind you you do live in heaven now, always and forever. It is up to us to see it and accept it. So, Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you today on Facebook Live. I'll be back with you at 9 a.m. for the last one in this book. Have a wonderful day, beloved.